अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नारायणपरा वेदा देवा नारायणाङ्गजाः नारायणपरालोका नारायणपरामखाः नारायणपरो योगो नारायणपरं तपः नारायणपरं ज्ञानं नारायणपरा गतिः। तस्मात् केन मनसा भगवान् सात्वतां पतिः श्रोतव्यकीर्तितव्यश्च ध्येयन् पूज्यश्च नित्यदा। जयति जगति मायां यस्य कायादवस्ति वचनरचनमेकं केवलं शाकलय्य ध्रुवपदमपि यादो यत्कृपातो ध्रुवोऽयं सकलकुशलपात्रं ब्रह्मपुत्रं नतास्मि। Sarvebhyah namaskaraha. We are seeing the Narada Bhakti Sutras, and we saw that in the last video that Narada Maharshi giving advice to all the sadhakas that whatever is conducive for our spiritual development, we have to accept it. If anything is contradictory to our spiritual upliftment, then we have to ignore it. Ignore in the sense we have to go about it. Udasinatha. And in this two sutras, there is Sutra 12 and 13, he more explains about how a bhakta, sincere bhakta, should to live in this world. Sutra 12 of Narada Bhakti Sutras. Bhavatu nischaya dhardayat urdhvam shastra rakshanam. Nischaya dhardayat urdhvam. Urdhva means going higher. Here it implies the spiritual life. When one has the dhrida nischaya to lead the spiritual life, then sastra rakshanam, the shastras will protect him. So when we have decided that we are going to go in this spiritual path or in the path of divinity, then we have to depend on the scriptures more than depending on anyone else's hearsay or what they say. Because when we are a novice, many people give us advice. They don't give us advice in the wrong intention. What they follow, they will give us advice that may or may not be suitable for us. So if we follow that, sometimes it may be difficult for us. So we will leave that path in the halfway. And sometimes it is not correct also. So we have to read the sastras, understand the sastras, and understand what are the ways to lead to this path. So we have to follow the shastras. The shastras will guide us. Shastras are just like the Google map. It will take us to that destination. So once when we have decided to lead the spiritual life, the shastras will guide us. We have to depend on the shastras. Hitam dharma shasati iti shastram. That is the meaning of the shastra. Shastras will show us what is hitam, what is good and what is bad, what is evil, what is bad, what is right or what is wrong, what are the do's and what are the don'ts. So this may not be so clear to the other people. So instead of taking advice from other people, we have to depend on the shastras. And we have to depend on the shastras more because our mind is always externally diverted. Because mind is formed from the sattva concept of the Panchabhutas. So Panchabhutas means they belong to the Prakriti. So that's why our mind always goes to the external world, towards the Prakriti. It won't turn inside. So it is very difficult to turn this mind inside. That is to see the self. So it is just like going against the tide. So it is very difficult, but we have to, just like what Bhagavan Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, again and again we have to bring the mind from the external world place it on the keep it or direct it towards the self, and in that way practice the bhakti and reach that top level. Even when a person has anubhuti, he may not, should not think that he has realized Bhagavan. It may be one middle stages of bhakti. In the stages of para bhakti, you will not be influenced by the external world at all. But till we reach that stage, we have to be very careful. We should not slip from that higher state of life. And in this world, normally there are two types of sadhakas. One is committed to the life of devotion. They want to take this divine path. Others are the people who are established in that divine experience itself. That is the great rishis. So those great rishis, even when they mingle in this world, they will not be influenced by this world or the external things or the objects or anything. But when we choose the path of devotion, there are chances that we will be influenced by the external world. So once when we fall from that position, then it is very difficult to climb to that same level itself. It will take on a long, long time. So what are the shastras? The shastras are written by the rishis. Their divine experiences, how they realized, what all obstacles they crossed over, in what all way the obstacles will come. So all those they have realized it, and they have crossed over all this and reached that higher state now. So from that higher state, they are writing this for the younger generation or for the other people to get benefited from it. So the shastras are the words of the rishis, what they have experienced and how to overcome it. So just see the Narada Bhakti Sutras. Narada was a great sage of divine sage. He never slips from her. He has slipped many times, and after that he has climbed, and now he is established in his own self as Sriman Narayana. So a person of that stature, even though when he mingles with the world, he will not fall from that state. But when we novices, when we enter in the path of devotion, when we have selected the path of devotion, and when we enter it, the external world will influence a lot. So we should not fall from that position. That is dhrida nishchaya. We have to be there in it. Shastras are just like boat. We have to travel in it, and when we reach that other side of the river, we can leave the boat. But in the middle way, if we leave the boat, then we will be drowned. So shastras we guide us, and we have to depend on the shastras once when we think that this is my life. That is the devotion, complete devotion to Bhagavan is my life. When we decide like that, when we have the dhrita nishchaya like that, then we have to depend on the shastras. Also, when we do not use the shastras will not help us. So whatever we use, that will help us. So that's what very beautifully explained in this sutra, that is Sutra 12. In the next sutra, Sutra 13. So what is the result of a person who doesn't follow the shastras? That's what explained by Narada Rishi in this sutra. Anyata paditya shankaya. If not, if he doesn't follow that strict rules of the Shastra, there are chances that he may fall from that state of bhakti. He may fall from that higher state. A very good example of this is even in this society, we see many people. They for some years they will be completely devoted to Bhagavan. After that, don't know why they may feel bored, or the external world would have influenced them. They completely lose their divinity and their divine stature, and that just behave like an ordinary being. Some people even build ashramas, they collect money, and they involve in all that unsocial activities. Even in the ancient time, a very good example of a great rishi falling from his state was sage Vishwamitra. He was a Raja Rishi, he was a king, and interested in this path of devotion and adhyatmaka practice. He came to the forest, leaving the kingdom itself. But at some weak moment, his mind was dragged towards Menaka. And at one other time, he had a great confrontation with Vasishta Rishi. So, all these are because of the trace of ego existing in us. So, when we take the protection of the Shastras, this ego will be erased. That's what, just like what I said. In whatever other things we have ego, or when we are pride of even the other things like I am rich, or I am educated, or I am in a high position, all that will be raised by spirituality. But when we have the ego and prideness that I know this, I am a great Brahmajnani, then it is very difficult to erase that spiritual ego. Sage Vishwamitra had that ego and he suffered a lot, but at last he became a Brahma Rishi. But before that, he suffered a lot to wipe off that ego. It is the ego that finds different, that gives a feeling of difference between ourselves and Bhagavan. It is the trace of ego that makes us to compare with everything else. And it is the trace of ego that drags our mind to the external world. So, to cross over that ego or to erase that ego, we have to depend on the Shastras. Till when? Till we are well established in that Brahmic state, or we are established very much in the Trita Nishchaya in that state of bhakti. Till then, we have to use the Shastras and get protection from the Shastras. And how to live in this world? We have to live in this world, whatever great a bhakta may be. To some extent, they have to live in this world. They cannot always run to the forest or to the caves. We have to live in this world. How to live in this world? Urdvarukamiva bandhanat. Just like what is said in the Mrityunjaya mantra. Just be in this world but not attached to it. Just like how a ripened pumpkin fruit, it just touches the ground, but it is detached from the stem, but it exists like this. We do not know that it is detached from the stem. Only when we touch it, it comes to our hand. So just like that, urdhvarukamiva bandhanat, like how we are like that pumpkin, be in this world but not attached to this world. Another famous example for this is how a droplet of water floats on the lotus leaf. It is there, but it is not attached to it. So, just like that, we have to respect everything. We have to be there in this world, but not attached to this world. If we lead our life in this way, then we can realize ourselves that we are not different from Bhagavan. Or otherwise, if we leave the Shastras in the beginning itself, why Narada Rishi is giving importance for the Shastras in this context is, in the previous two sutras, he said that we have to renounce everything. We have to renounce everything. So the bhaktas must not misunderstand that that there is a possibility to ignore or renounce the Shastras itself. That's why he is telling in this context about the Shastras. The Shastras can be kept away, but at what stage? At the final stage, not in the beginning stage or in the middle stage, or when we climb that final step of this ladder of spirituality, then we can keep aside the Shastras. Till then, we have to depend on the Shastras, or otherwise, we will fall from our state or our spiritual evolution. Then, once again, we have to climb the step. And Vishwamitra Rishi, he had that determination power, but all may not have that determination power. How many times he slipped, but he didn't care for it. Again, he climbed the spiritual ladder, but all may not have that determination power. So it is better to avoid the spiritual fall than again to climb on it. So that's the meaning of the two sutras, Sutra 12 and 13. And I will explain the rest of the Narada Bhakti Sutras in my next upload. Om Namo Narayanaaya.